What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All the Mods Expert Mode. Oh yeah, guys. So last episode we ended up making the Draconic Evolution mob grinder, which will allow us to automate a wither boss farm. That's something we'll probably be looking at sometime, maybe not today, but in the future, very soon. Next time we need a large amount of nether stars, or if we want to upgrade our power supply to run off nether stars. Off camera, I went ahead and I made 3 more dimensional transceivers so we can move power around to various other places without having to run Ender IO cabling around. I made myself a drawer controller and some basic drawers, and I've been kind of looking around the base here, trying to figure out what we should be doing next. A lot of the things that we've been doing have been progressing forward and trying to advance in technology and, you know, get further and further into the pack. But things we've been neglecting is a lot of our auto crafting and automations and things to make our life easier. So yeah, things that I've been noticing, our IC2 setup that we have over here is working pretty okay, right? So we are getting, why is that not running? Is everything fine? Oh yeah, everything's fine. So yeah, we have our nuclear reactor here, which is essentially, well, it's powering our mass fabricator, right? But we're trying to get these quad fuel rods depleted so we can run them through our thermal centrifuge and get the plutonium. The plutonium that we get from that, we can use to make yellorium. And the yellorium that we're putting into our big reactor over here, we are just, essentially we're spending the fuel just to get the cyanite so we can take this and process it into the plutonium to turn into ludicrite so we can make octadic capacitors and progress with technology. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we're doing, but for instance, our thermal centrifuge over here is pretty much always doing things with the reactor only. Same thing with the ore washing plant. Like, both of these machines are pretty specific to our nuclear reactor. Our fluid solid canning machine, since we have to make those fuel rods, is also pretty specific. So these 3 machines are pretty much dedicated to our reactor over here. These other machines though, like our metal formers, while we are using these sometimes to make the fuel rods, or I guess it'd be the extruding one, it's not really that specific since we use it for other things. So I'm kind of thinking we should take the machines that are specific for the nuclear reactor, kind of like rearrange them, get them all kind of consolidated, and then we should take our other machines that we aren't really using specifically for that and kind of set up another little area for those guys. So I think we're gonna have, like, you know, a back row and then like a front row where our nuclear reactor stuff is back there and all the other machines that we use for our day-to-day stuff are up here. Another thing that would be nice is I would like another fluid solid canning machine so we can use that specifically to make more upgrades for these machines. Yeah, we keep running into a bottleneck with these overclocker upgrades that, you know, I have to keep moving from one machine to the other and back and forth. Making those things manually isn't that much fun. That's why I haven't really made more of them. So yeah, I would like to automate that process. Other things that I like to automate around here is making quartz glass. I do believe that is automatable, and I did make a recipe for that. Did I? Maybe I did. Maybe I was looking at doing that. To make a recipe for that, we're gonna have to automate the metal alloyer, which will also be very useful for us. But yeah, we need to get like all of this stuff in here so we can make quartz glass. I was in the process of trying to automate all the different disk or the different drives that you can do. So if we come in here, we can see, where is it, like a 4K. I was gonna make a 16K. We already have the 1K in here. Let's see, 16K. So if I wanted to make this and I click next, it says we're out of quartz glass. Making that stuff isn't a lot of fun, so I kind of want to get things like this automated. So yeah, making quartz glass also means that we are going to need sand automated and getting glass shards, which means we have to smelt sand into glass and then take that glass and break it into the glass shards. So there's a lot of cool things that we can start automating, and that's definitely something that I would like to do today. Alright guys, so I've done some rearranging here and I really like the way this has turned out. So our front row over here is just all of our different auto craftable IC2 machines. We can also use these for manual crafting or whatever else, but these will be really good once we get all the overclocker upgrades in them. our back row machines back here, these are all the ones that have to deal with the mass fabricator, our nuclear reactor, and all these kinds of things. And I also reworked the way the power cables were. So instead of having them all powered from the back, they're mostly all powered from underneath. It kind of didn't make sense to have those underneath the way like we have our lava, or I'm sorry, our cobblestone generator with the lava and the water under there. So yeah, I just kind of like pulled the power off our nuclear reactor, which is also sending power from back here. But anyway, so all of these things have been rearranged. We have our, let's go downstairs. Yeah, so our dense cable and our P2P tunnel are right here. That's just providing the channels. I think we're only using like 4 channels over here. It's not too many. But yeah, that's where our new P2P tunnels for our EU are coming out. So that's powering this, the line that's underneath, which kind of like snakes around. And like I said, this lava, or the cobblestone generator, the lava and the water, are kind of in a bad place to route these cables in a great way, but that's the way it's all set up now. And then that line we have continuing underneath and then powering our front row machines up here. And then 2 of these machines need water. So I was thinking I could snake a Ender IO cable around to provide water with one of these Ender tanks, but I just went with using 2 separate tanks. And then I have conduit facade on top of this, which I don't think you can see unless I'm holding a conduit or something. Yeah, okay, so we have a conduit facade right there that's covering up our the conduit that's pumping the water out into these machines. So both of those have that as well. Now, a thing that you can do with applied energistics is use conduit facade, which is supposed to cover up like holes in the ground where your conduits are to make it look nicer, but unfortunately those have never worked with connected textures. The conduit facade from Ender IO really works well with those. So a thing we could do to make this better is, we could, for this one block right here, use the ME conduit and put a facade on there, so this cable will connect to that facade. And then from the facade we can continue using our ME glass cable to run to where we need to be. That's a thing we could do. I just never got around to it. But yeah, that's another thing we could do to improve this. So what I'd like to do is start working on auto crafting our overclocker upgrades, because that's one of the big things that I've been wanting to do. So we have a new fluid solid canning machine with our transformer upgrade so it doesn't explode. We want to make these guys here. So electronic circuits is a thing that we're going to want to auto craft in the future, and I believe that is auto craftable the way we've been currently making these. We've also seen we can use UU matter to make those, but those are pretty expensive with the UU matter. I think it takes half a bucket or a little over half a bucket of that stuff. The 10K coolant cells, this is like the hard part that I want to automate. So we need to take a universal fluid cell, put it into our fluid solid canning machine. It goes here. We need 8 macerated lapis that goes into this slot, and then that should output the coolant cell. I think that's how that works. So let's see if we can make some of these recipes here and see if we can get that auto crafting going. So we want 1 lapis is going to turn into a lapis dust. We'll make a pattern for this. One of those, one of these, like so. Okay, very simple. That'll go into our macerator. And we'll just put that guy right there. Cool. So now we need to make a pattern that's going to say 8. Well, I guess a universal fluid cell, one of those, plus 8 lapis dust. Pretty sure this works. Is going to equal the other thing. So let's see if we can do that. We'll make one of these real quick so we can set the recipe. So we need a universal fluid cell, 8 of those, and then that should be enriched properly. So put that guy there and those guys there, and we'll steal some overclockers to make this go faster. Nice. So now we need to get ourselves an ejector upgrade because we want that recipe to complete. I don't remember. No, I never made a pattern for that. So the ejector upgrade is 10 plates, which we have on auto craft, and a piston, which I think we already have in the system. So we just need those 4 guys real quick. Nice. And that. Cool. All right, so we want that to eject to the top of the block. So we can take this guy and just click, shift right click on the top of this block. And that automatically outputs to the top side with that here, and that will complete the recipe. Cool. All right, so now that we have the universal fluid cell, we can put that here as the recipe, and then we can put that over in our fluid solid canning machine. We have two of them that are named the exact same thing. This one's got the stuff for the uranium, so obviously this is the other one. Cool. So now if we tell it to make a what is that thing called? I don't even remember what that was called. That is called a, I guess it's just called the universal fluid cell with IC2 coolant. Can we tell it to make one of those? So it says that start. Let's see if it's doing something over here. Looks like, I think it was working. Okay, yes. So that absolutely works. That's awesome. So now we need to make another pattern to turn it into the 10K, which requires 10 plates. So 10 plate, we just need one of those in the system. I'll tell it to make 4. We need one of those so we can set the pattern. And we'll make that recipe. So this one is just a normal auto craft, which can go in here somewhere, probably near our IC2 stuff, just so we can keep things a little bit together. Doesn't really matter though. Okay, so now we want to make the 10K and auto crafted. Nice. So now we need insulated copper, which I think we have an auto craft. We'll make one of those. Okay, so we have, I believe, a few extra electronic circuits that I pre-made earlier. All right, and then we can make a pattern like so. So with that in there, we should be able to make 6 overclocker upgrades. All right, so let's tell it to make 6. So that's going to use 56 lapis, all of our electronic circuits, our universal fluid cells. That's to craft 7 more of those. All right, let's start it up. Let's see how things are happening over here. I want to make sure these are working. So that's doing its thing. We're rolling out some tin. All right, looks like everything is working correctly. So now that we can do that, automating the electronic circuits will be the next step. That way we can make as many of these as we want and not have to stop to continually make those all the time. So there it is. Okay, so those are all done. And there's our 6 overclocker upgrades. All right, so that is super, super useful. I guess we'll put those in here. Yeah, next step is we're gonna wanna look at automating making these things. So LV wire coils, we have an auto craft. Quartz resonators are on auto craft. Microchips are on auto craft, but those do require electrum, which we don't have automatically generated. But what we can do is make a recipe that'll take the electrum ingots and turn those into nuggets, since that's part of the recipe. Okay, so we got one of those. We'll just throw that in here somewhere. We might even just get rid of this thing later on and just put the electrum ingots into a compacting drawer, which will provide the system with those. But for right now, we'll put those in there. All right, and then the last thing was the printed circuit boards. These things, I'm not sure how we're gonna do this because it requires these raw circuit boards in the laser, so we'll have to automatically make the laser later do its thing. But yeah, that requires us to have green dye and silicon dust. Now the green dye, we've been using the Botania stuff. We've been using these mystical green flowers, so I guess I can, or I guess the tall mystical green flowers. I could go and just make a whole bunch of these things. Eventually what I'd like to do is make it so these are auto-craftable, and I don't know if that is a thing that we can do. I've never done that before. But for right now, we can set up a recipe that will take the tall mystical green and turn those into these, right? So we can do that. And we can take those, I guess I'll come back in here, green, that, with the pestle and mortar and turn that into the green. All right. So there's another recipe. Do that and put those away. Cool. So there's 2 more things. All right. So, I mean, we're getting some auto crafting going on here, but it's like, it's not really perfect, but it is going to help us out a bit. Okay. So now back to these things, this one, this, and then we can, oh, I need blank patterns, 10 of those next. Yeah, so we're running out of quartz glass. That is a big issue. So I think what I'm gonna do, let's make up some more of the quartz glass by hand so we can get the rest of this auto crafting done. And then we will, yeah, I'll just go ahead and craft up a bunch of that so we can make some more blank patterns and keep up with our auto crafting. I would like to automate that. Let's go back, quartz glass. I would like to automate our metal alloy here. The sandy glass, this is going to be an interesting thing to do. The rest of these, that is pretty simple. I think the sunny does require the laser though. Yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and make up some more of that quartz glass and then we'll be back. All right, guys. So I went ahead and I farmed up a bunch of the green flowers, the tall green flowers, and made a pattern for making the electronic circuits. And yeah, so the only thing is we do need a thermionic fabricator over here specifically to make circuits. So I think we are going to put an RF machine, a forestry machine over here with our IC2 stuff, since it kind of makes sense that, you know, since that is specific to this, that we're going to keep it together. Okay, so this does require this pattern. It does require glass or sand in here, right? And then we're going to have to pull the item from this slot and put it back into the system to complete the auto craft. Let's go ahead and take this guy. I think that breaking that machine is going to reset it. And I will have to place the pattern back, but for right now, we'll just stick it right over here. Okay, so we need to figure out how we're going to power this thing and how to get the rest of the stuff set up. So we are going to need another ME interface. So let's grab one of those. Interface. All right, so interface just goes right on top. We're only using 7 channels over here. That's our 8th one. So this cable is now fully saturated. So if we have to make any other machines over here, we will eventually make another row or have to do another cable. So anyway, we need to set up the pattern for this. So the thing that we need to figure out is how we're going to get sand into this machine. So I think we can try piping sand in. So let's grab, actually, I guess we can just say like, well, let's say 4. All right, so item conduit, grab some of that. All right, so let's see if we can, first of all, get sand going into where we want it to go into this machine. So our interface over here is always going to provide sand. Actually, I'll put on this side. So our interface is always providing sand. So we can take our item conduit and see if we can pipe that into here. I don't know how this works, if it has to be piped into the top, into the back, where this slot comes from. So let's see what happens if we pipe into the side, always active, and then insert. That puts the sand right where we want it. Cool. So I guess the items for this recipe will come from the top. Let's see what we can do here. If we put the pattern for the electronic circuit into our thermionic fabricator, and we tell the system to make a circuit, let's see where those items go. All right, so it looks like we got everything to do it. It should be creating all the different parts, and then it should try and insert them into the machine. Okay, so let's see what's happening over here. Oh, that is perfect. Okay, so the only thing that we're missing on this machine is RF. Now, we can easily give this thing some RF since I made some of those, wherever they are, the dimensional transceivers. So if I stick one of those under here, right click on it, we can say power, receive main power. So that now fills that up. Seems kind of like a waste for that dimensional transceiver, but if we need other power for RF, we can move that around, just run a cable over here. But for right now, that gives us RF power into this machine. Okay, so now, it says it can't work. Right, so we still have to set the pattern here. I was like, why is that not working? We have everything ready to go. Yeah, do need the pattern for that to do something. Okay, so now we have a pattern set. This will start heating up. It'll take our sand, it'll melt it into the liquid glass, internal inventory of 8 buckets of the stuff. Okay, so one more thing we do need to do is we need to extract out of this and put it back into the interface. So I kind of feel like we're going to need a couple of filters here. Let's make a second item filter. Okay, one of those. The hopper I did put on autocraft. Oop, one of these. Okay, so there we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to, on the extract side here, we want to make sure that we are only extracting sand, right? This is going to be switched to an in-out, extract, always active, and we're only extracting sand. And then this one is going to be, I guess that'll also be an in-out, and we'll have to put the extract on the circuit. Oh, come on, I hate how you can't press R or U if your mouse cursor is in the center. When you go into this thing, it's like always in a spot where it won't let you do that. Okay, so on this one over here, we want to set this to in-out. The extract, we're going to have a filter, and we're only going to extract circuits, because I don't know if that will extract the materials that get placed in here. And I assume the electronic circuit will be able to extract this way. So let's try that. Always active, and it's gone. All right, so the recipe should have completed. Now, if this works, we should be able to tell the system to make those electronic circuits whenever we want. All right, so we do have one extra one, so now we have two of those. So if I tell it to make two more, looks like we have all the stuff together. And it is crafting up more of these copper cables. Yeah, overclocker upgrades will speed this up. Now that we have those automated, this will be really, really nice. And electronic circuits are now automated. Okay, so that's great. So now overclocker, if I wanted to tell it to make 20 of those, looks like we should be able to do that. So let's make 20 overclocker upgrades. This is so awesome. Oh my goodness, trying to do that by hand was like one of the worst things ever. But now that we have this auto craftable, this is going to be so much nicer. Other things we're going to have to do is this is using quartz and it is using glowstone. We have glowstone available to be auto crafted through our witch farm. So we're going to need to get that hooked up into our applied energistic system. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's still crafting up things over here. I guess the slowest part right now is probably our macerator, right? Yeah, that is going kind of slow. Let's see if we can speed that up a little bit. Not sure at what point it's going to start complaining about power. Looks like 10 is about the most we want to put in there. Yeah, it looks like it'll do a little bit of time. It'll start struggling and then it'll come back up again. Yeah, we need more EU power. That's for sure. Okay, so that's working quite nicely. Oh my goodness, this is so good, guys. I love this. The more auto crafting we can get set up, the easier everything's gonna be overall. Okay, so what is it waiting on right now? Okay, it is crafting up 10 plates. Yeah, the other thing is we need to do with this is we currently only have 2 crafting CPUs here, 2 crafting multi-blocks. So we can only do 2 recipes at a time. Now, a lot of the time, one of those is pretty much always being used by this autocraft over here, where it's trying to make the purified crushed uranium ore. So we used one here, so it kicks this thing on, which is using one of our CPUs, right? So getting that expanded out and getting more of the coprocessors over here is definitely a thing. The more coprocessors you have per CPU, the more like separate subcrafts can happen. So it can run like the macerator, and it can run the fluid solid canning machine and the furnace and like all these other things at the same time. At the craft requires all these different machines running. So yeah, improving our auto crafting CPU multi-blocks is definitely another thing I would like to do. So what are we waiting on still? It almost feels like something has failed here, doesn't it? So let's take a look at the thermionic fabricator. Nothing's going on in here. So why is nothing in there? Why has it not done anything? I wonder, is it because I put the cable on that interface that's trying to push these items into the cable and not into our machine? If that's the case, we could try clicking that with the quartz wrench and see if we can get the items to go down instead. Doesn't appear like anything's happening. I wonder why. This was working before. We saw the items get ejected into here. Maybe I have to cancel the recipe and tell it to go again and maybe it'll work? Because I changed the orientation of that interface. Let's cancel this. We'll tell it to make 20 overclockers. That says we're missing that. Let's tell it to make 10 overclockers. Start. Oh yeah, it worked that time. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. This was trying to push the items into our item conduit, but that's not where the items go. They go down here. Aha. Okay, well, it looks like we did get those overclockers, right? All right, so now that we have these, we can start upgrading our machines, making them go faster, and then everything that we're trying to auto-craft will go faster and faster all the time, which is going to be super awesome. Oh my, this auto crafting is so good, except for when it doesn't work. So we're having problems earlier. We set up our automatic circuit thing over here, or I guess we said, yeah, well, the automatic circuit thing for the overclockers. The overclockers kept stopping and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I kind of rearranged some things. I kind of felt like it was breaking because of this recipe trying to go into the thermionic fabricator. So I took our ME interface, I stuck it over here, put it on a cable version, and put the recipe. So that dumps the items into this chest. We're extracting out of that chest on the brown channel into the top of our thermionic fabricator here. So it'll fill up all of the internal storage, right? And then instead of going back into that same interface for the return, we are doing that same in-out, but we're going into this interface, which is providing the sand, right? So yeah, that doesn't really matter if we use the same interface to provide the sand and put the items back in. You can put the resulting item into any interface on your network and it'll still complete the recipe. But yeah, it kind of is a silly workaround that I had to do here. Seems to be working, but we might be at the end of needing our overclocker. So I don't know. It seems to work just fine with the circuits anyway. So yeah, I just got done making a MFSU. FSU. So I got all the auto crafting stuff needed for this done. Well, at least all the things that we can process through our IC2 machines. The MFSU is kind of a complicated device to make, especially in this mod pack, because you need an advanced circuit, an MFE, and an advanced machine casing, plus these Lapotron crystals. The Lapotron requires advanced circuits each and the energy crystal. Previously, these energy crystals, we've been taking some of this random dust from our Rockhounding and throwing it through the laser to get these, which is super convenient, but I think it's going to be better overall if we just do it the original IC2 recipe way, which still works. So we need the Energium dust, 9 of those put into a compressor, which we already have set up for auto crafting, and that is with 3 diamonds and 5 redstone to make 9 of those. So that's not so bad. The advanced circuits does require the regular circuit plus these ender pulsars and the empowered powerless crystals and white gold nuggets. There's just like so many things that we had to get going here for that. So we need 6 of those. The MFE isn't bad. It's more of those energy crystals, a basic machine, 2 times gold. Things that we are starting to run out of though is rubber. We don't have a lot of rubber, and the resin we don't have automated in any way. So if we could figure out a way to get that rubber going automated, that would be very, very helpful. But anyway, the MFSU, this will store a lot of power for our machine. So we're not just using the power that we're using. We'll actually have like power backed up into storage. So when our machines need to use a lot of power, yeah, we can get that. So this is its outputs 2048. So we are going to want to get ourselves an HV transformer. I don't know if we have one. Actually, we don't have one. Yeah, I thought these output 512. This outputs 2048. If we hook that up into our power system, we're going to blow everything up, and that won't be good. So we need to get ourselves an HV transformer. Or is there a way that we can take this MFSU and tell it to output a lower voltage? I'm No, it doesn't look like we can do that. Okay, so we definitely need a transformer. So we need one of these guys. So an advanced RE battery MV transformer. We already have MV transformer on AutoCraft. We can tell the system to make one of those. We need another electronic circuit. We can tell it to make one of those. Oh, except our CPU is busy. Start. All right, we'll use that CPU. Advanced RE battery. We don't have that on AutoCraft, but I think those are relatively easy. So we needed copper wires. I think it was 2 of those. Again, our rubber supply is running low. And then sulfur and lead. I know we have plenty of lead in here from these tiny piles, so I guess we can just craft up one of those real quick. That's not something that really needs to be automated since we don't make these advanced RE batteries too often. Okay, so we have everything here. We need 2x gold. We need 2 of those. And yeah, that's eating into more of our rubber that we're gonna have to figure out at a later time. All right, and there is our HV transformer. So that takes the high of 2048 and converts it to 512, which all of our machines are currently using. I think that needs to be reversed the other way. In order to do that, you shift, right click on that face, and that puts the high voltage end towards the opposite of the way you clicked. So yeah, that will input 2048, that'll output 512, and that's what our machines use. Okay, so we can go ahead and pick these things up now that we know how those work. Looks like I'm gonna have to look at making a new wrench here very soon. All right, let's get down here. Okay, so we're gonna disconnect some things here, and this is gonna be kind of scary. So actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna disconnect more than what I need to, just to be double sure. Okay. So we want the MFSU to start taking in power. This is the HV. We want the MFSU. So that is taking in power. Yeah, that takes in power from any of the sides without the dot, right? So we're charging up. And then we're going to transform that. So we'll put our transformer here, and we want the high end facing the MFSU, right? So again, we are inputting 2048. We're outputting 512. And then at this point, we should be able to connect that to our system and be okay. I hope. Please don't blow anything up. This will be bad if it does. I think we are good to go. Right. So yeah, this will make sure that we have a large amount of power buffer ready to go. Now, another thing, I think, since this is taking 2048 and converting into 512, I don't know if that puts like 4 times the amount of power through this line is what we've been normally getting, or if I have to connect it like that to do that. So I guess that's something we'll figure out. All right, so now that we got that done, we could try auto crafting some things that were choking the system a little bit ago. So let's try making more overclockers, I suppose. Let's make, I don't know, like 4. Let's make a little bit more than 4. Let's make, how about 8? We got no, we don't got enough of those. How about 6? Is that going to use less than the nichrome? Oh man, so we need that done. Yeah, getting that other machine, the alloy thing going, is definitely a thing that we need to get automated. So it's iron, chrome, and nickel. Okay, so it's 6 nickel. We'll do 3 recipes. It was iron. I think we might have some iron dust in here. Maybe not. No, we don't. Okay, so we'll have to cook up some iron dust. And what was the other thing for this? That was chrome. And chrome, or I guess chromium, we have out here. All right, so we needed, I think it's 6 of those. Chromium dust. All right, so we'll put that into, oh, actually we need to process that down into a dust. It does not like the ingots as far as I can tell because the recipe says it doesn't. All right, so we can throw those in here, use the acceleration wand to make this go really fast. Done. All right, so there's 27 of those guys. Okay, so now overclocker, we will say, let's make 8 of those. Everything's good. Now before, our macerator was slowing down. We weren't keeping up with power, but it looks like we are now keeping up with all the different things that we want. Yeah, definitely power's keeping up. I bet we'll see this dropping though. Yeah, so we're using a lot of power here, more than what we are currently generating. But since we have this power buffer, all of our machines are staying full and they're not running out of power as they're processing, which is super important. That keeps their speed up and we're not just kind of like stalling because the overclockers are using too much power for our system to handle. All right, so that's really good. Okay, so our IC2 machines are pretty much under control now. Very happy about that. Let's make sure that the recipe did finish up. Yeah, see, it still stalls on that, and I'm not sure what's going on. We have the circuits. It's like we have everything, but then it just doesn't know to complete this task. I don't know. So we have how many pending? We have 8 more though. So if we cancel that recipe and we tell it to make the overclocker, 8 of those, it should just be able to craft those up straight away. Yeah, I don't know. There is still something wrong there. So maybe this whole chest setup that I did is not necessary. I was thinking that it might be, but yeah, obviously there's something else going on here, and it might be the lack of our universal fluid cells, or there could be a number of things. Other things that I've seen that have caused that problem before is when you allow substitutions of input components and there's multiple different types of the same thing in your system. That might be what's causing it. I'll have to go through and take a look. But anyway, guys, we're going to go and wrap the episode up here for today. We got a lot of stuff done that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, not everything that I wanted to do. There's still a lot more auto crafting and automations to set up. But getting this done, the IC2 stuff, the overclockers, the circuits, those took so much time to do before. I am very happy that we have those automated now, and hopefully we'll never have to mess with those again. At least the circuits haven't failed for the autocraft. It's just the crafting for the overclockers. And I'll have to take a look at that. There might be something. I might have to remove some of the allow substitutions or whatever. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to leave a like on the episode if you liked it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.